Hey guys!
Hi!
How's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Heart of Gratitude. I am Bethany Jordan.
And I'm Serena. I'm sorry, I'm getting there. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. I'm usually done with this work by now.
Yup. We're back at the McGowan's household.
Yes. The den.
The den.
If I call it a basement one more time, I'm going to be, like, shaken.
The whole podcast just shut down.
Yeah. Denied.
But, yeah, we're cozy vibes again.
Yeah.
Very cozy vibes. I got out of work and I was just like, I'm putting sweatpants on. And I'm like, there's no way I'm keeping jeans on for this.
It's also windy and rainy.
It is so cold.
All the grossness.
It was like the past week, we had like nice 60-degree weather. Like maybe the highest was what? Did it get to 65, I want to say?
I think so.
It was so nice. And then this week came and it was just like cold and ugh. Yeah, and walking out of my car to your door, the wind just hit me and I'm like,
no thanks.
Just like waddling over. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
This is too cold. So I think I've mentioned it, at least to you. I don't know on the podcast, but I got a mini space heater for my like little classroom or whatever. So it's like underneath the store. So typically when things are like underground or whatever, it's like colder, you know? Yeah. And I am literally in an ice box, and this winter just hit me like real hard. And I got a space heater, and it's been my best friend. And I put that space heater on, I close my door, and then it toasts up the room. But a couple of my students, they get like overheated, so it's like when I see that they're coming, like I'll look at my schedule, I'm like, okay, this kid's coming, I gotta make sure I unplug it like at least like a lesson prior to them coming in, because I know that they're just gonna overheat. Also though, like when singing and like getting into singing, like you work up a sweat. You really do. And so it's just like, okay, I get it with some of my voice students. If they're really like singing, it's just like, okay, I should probably, but man, when it's just me in there, if like, so today I had one student who I typically have for an hour. First 30 minutes piano, next 30 minutes voice. Okay. And he called out. So I had an hour to myself. So I plugged in my space heater. I was in my small room. I mean, it's bigger than most rooms there, but it was all nice and toasty, and I was just reading.
I love that.
Like,
I love that.
It's just like, but then I saw the time and I'm like, I have to go up to my next student. I'm like, it's too warm down here. I can't. But yeah, I love that space heater, and it will stay with me forever in the winter for sure. But yeah, I'm not digging the cold weather this year.
No, and March is one of those months where it's either like, well, it's never nice or it's never cold.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth. I'm like, okay, this is just a second winter.
Yeah. It's just like the thing is, I think what it is we're starting to see some sun. Like the sun stays out later and you're starting to want summer. So it's just like the more you want it, the more you realize how much you don't have it. Yeah. So it's like, I think March has always been like a cold month with some rare warmer months, but because you get those teases, it's just like, you never know. But I think that's the worst part, where you really want it, you're starting to see the sun stay out, so it makes it harder to deal with. Yeah. So March is stupid. March is a stupid month. Even April can be a little bit cold. Yeah. But, and then what is it? April showers bring May flowers. Yep. But I love a good thunderstorm.
Yeah, so do I.
That's like the best, where it's just like, I love cracking my window open, and it's like when it's at night and there's a thunderstorm, and just like falling asleep to like the rain and the thunder. That's nice.
So good.
That is so good. I'm probably gonna grow up to be that person with like that rain machine. Yeah. Oh man, when I was flying to Arizona with my family, when I was on the plane, and I was reading throughout like the entire trip, I had just rain in my headphones.
I love that.
And just like to like keep me concentrated or whatever. But it's just like out of all the sounds I could be playing, it was just like rain while I was reading.
And you're going to a desert.
I know, right? It's funny because even when we were driving, because like driving from where we were, Sedona, to like the Grand Canyon was like a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
And so I would have my book and everybody would be screaming in the car or whatever. You know, we were a very loud family. And if we're together, it's just like very loud. So I'll put my headphones on and it was just rain.
Nice.
The second I put it, rain.
Nice.
Like not even music. I can't listen to music and like read or do anything.
Not even like lo-fi? Or like instrumental? Interesting.
No, you know, I get too focused on...
Well, you're a music person, like, through and through,
I get too focused on, like, the musical composition and, like, you know, the way the music is going and all of that. And then my brain starts getting fixated on that than what I'm... So it always frustrated me when people are like, listen to classical music while you're, you know, studying, or listen to this while you're taking this test or whatever. And it's just like, I'm listening to classical music and I'm just like I can't focus on anything else but this music.
Yeah.
But yeah, that never worked for me. So I need like that, like library. I can read perfectly in a library because there's all this like talking, moving, and like that stuff, like white noise. I guess that's what you would call it.
Background noise. Yeah,
background noise. That's like great. I can do that. But when it's like specifically like music, I can't do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought of you earlier this week because...
Oh, no.
I was going to use a different example, but I'm not going to use that on a podcast. Okay. That's an after hours moment. So I realized that I can't, for the life of me, clap on an upbeat.
Interesting.
I cannot find an upbeat in music. Because of dance, we've always done a downbeat. That's
so funny.
Yep.
Interesting. I have no rhythm. I'm a musician with no rhythm. So I'm probably right there with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it, and I'm like, how do people clap on an upbeat? It's the 1-3-5-7.
It's the white half of us. The Puerto Rican side did not do anything for us there.
I was just like legitimately struggling in the car.
Interesting.
Just trying to get my brain to think that way.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't do it.
That's so funny. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I feel like I'm always like, I'm never like on the beat. I'm always, I think maybe I'm the same. I might be, I don't know. I'll have to talk to people. Because, I don't think I can find that like one.
Yeah.
As this probably.
I could find the 2.
I can find the 2.
I got 2, 4, 6, 8. I could. That's no problem.
No, I think I have the same problem. But anyway.
All right. Do you want to get into it?
What were you listening to that you had to?
Oh, it was just like random, like stop and holler, like.
Oh, that's right. Because I learned a fun fact about Serena.
My music taste and how eclectic it is.
Yes.
It is a wide range.
Never would have EDM music.
It's all I'm listening to in the gym and outside the gym.
Never would have guessed.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love a good song, or I guess genre of music that makes me feel like I'm on the beach, like.
Okay, I get that.
At like a party, just having a good time.
I get that, because when I like posted about like wanting to get like a summer playlist going to see if anybody had suggestions, like that's what I was going for, where it's just like you would find yourself screaming in the car the lyrics kind of thing, or if you hear it, like you instantly are transported to a beach in the sun and it's like hot, and that's what I was going for. And I got a good amount of suggestions, so, and I put them together. So I have a good playlist right now. I gotta figure out a name, because right now the name is so dumb. It's like so dumb. I'm not even gonna say what the name is, but I need to figure it out, because it's not summer 2024. It used to be summer 2024.
Okay.
Then I changed it to something else, And yeah, it's just stupid. It doesn't flow the way I want it to. So I gotta figure out a new name for this playlist.
I'm the worst at naming playlists. It takes me forever.
Yeah, I want to be creative, but I don't think I'm that creative. I don't have that like witty brain.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's like it feels too forced because it is.
Yeah,
it's just like.
Yeah, so EDM, but I can also swing like soul and funk.
Okay, yeah.
But I can also swing. I love a good stomp and holler. That's my go-to, like, like that comfort genre.
Yeah.
That's my comfort genre.
So, like, stomp and holler, like, name a song. I'm trying to, like...
Like, Ophelia by the Lumineers.
That would be considered stomp and holler?
They're stomp and holler. Mount Joy, Camp, John Vincent III, kind of teeters on stomp and holler. But basically anything that's like a stomp. Yeah. Basically that I can't do for the life of me because I can't find the stomp.
1, 2, 1, 2.
But yeah, those are my music taste.
That's so funny. No, yeah, when you said would you take EDM suggestions, I was like, oh, what? I was like, you?
Yeah.
But yeah, learn something new every day.
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking about today?
We are diving into, should Christians use Tinder?
Yup.
So this was an interesting one to think about.
It was an interesting. It's funny because I feel like I've had thoughts on this for like a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Do you have an immediate answer?
Yes, I think. Yes to having an immediate answer, which means no. I don't think Christians should be on Tinder because I feel like this is gonna get into the actual discussion. Yeah. I feel like it's meant for like one thing. Yeah.
So, it's kind of funny. Last night while I was prepping, I had my RIP to my Apple Pencil on the floor, going back and forth between me and Dan.
Okay.
And I was interviewing him. Because he's never been on a dating app.
Okay.
Never thought about even downloading a single one. But meanwhile, I've been on.
Yeah.
So I'm coming at this from experience, and he was like, well, I don't have this experience.
Yeah.
My immediate answer is yes, but with caution. An extreme amount of caution, because, like you just said, it can be used for one specific thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of... Anybody can say they're a Christian.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm specifically, like, talking about, like, Tinder itself. Now, obviously, we know that there are some, like, dating apps. Like, I'm not saying no to dating apps. Right. I think that they're,
There is merit in dating apps.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, purpose. There's, like, a really, a lot of people have found, like, their person through dating. I'm not... like bashing that by any means. Because there are Christian dating apps, you know, and I think that like when it comes to like Tinder or what's the other one called,
Hinge, Bumble,
yeah, sure. Like I feel like today, and especially with today's like culture, they use that really to like as like a hookup kind of app. You know, and I think that that's why my initial response is like, no, we should probably stay away from it. And like use, if there are other options offered like those Christian dating apps, then why don't we just like stick with that? But yes, if you were to use, you could probably find other Christians on that app. But I don't know. It's just the
stigma that it has.
That's the thing. It's the stigma that you hear Tinder and it's instantly like, and maybe this is just me, but instantly my brain is just like, oh, that's just like, hookups or whatever. Yeah, and maybe that's just wrong on me to see it that way. So who knows? But
yeah, I was reading a whole bunch of articles over the last couple of days that had the same... Now I'm going to start using this as, like, the thing.
You're going to hear them like,
yeah. Use this hand now. I was reading a whole bunch of articles that came at it at the same point of view that you had, where it was like, well, this is the stigma.
Yeah.
And finally, I came across one particular article. I don't remember the name of it. I should have wrote it down. That was like, yes, this is the stigma, but let's talk about personal experience.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because that's kind of like how I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm coming with no experience on online dating. So this is cool that we, you experience, me, no experience whatsoever. Yeah. So
I mean, my experience was maybe about 24 hours. But it is a good amount of experience. No, actually, it was probably a little bit longer than that. It was the summer of 2017.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, Dan and I have been together since 2017. Wow. Yep. 6.5 years to the day.
Look at you guys.
Today. Yeah. So that summer, I had gone through a really, at the time, terrible breakup.
Yeah.
And didn't know what to do with myself. Okay. So that summer was spent out gallivanting, doing anything that anybody asked me to do. I said yes.
Yeah.
And then one night I was at a friend's block party. We were all single, and everybody was like, oh, let's download Tinder. And then from there, met some like really actually nice people too. Okay. But also it did come with the one night stand. Like people were looking for that. Yeah. And I was just like, No. We're not doing that.
Thank you.
No. And it was an immediate delete as soon as Dan and I started talking. And never ever obviously went back to it.
Yeah. And I guess when it comes to like online dating, like you have to be very forward about what you want to like get out of that and the experience, and be very specific about the people that you do get in contact with, I guess. But yeah, no experience on this end. And online dating, like I said before, it's not like I'm against it. Right. I think that there's a purpose, and there's a lot of people who, use it, and, it's not for the faint of heart.
Oh, no.
And I know, I kind of said the same thing the other night. It's not for the faint of heart from the stories I have heard. And that's where I'm just kind of like, I don't think I have that, like, in me to kind of go on and, use an online dating or whatever. But yeah, it's worked for many people, but you have to be very forward about what you want. And specifically, like, for Christians, like, no hooking up, you know, kind of thing. It's just like, that's not the culture that we are, taking part of. And so if like an app like Tinder or Hinge or whatever, if that's what they're kind of geared towards, then like maybe it's safer to kind of like stay away. But like you said, there are people with experiences that
so it kind of, this leads into one of the big scripture verses that I wish I would have brought up when we first started the series, because I feel like every episode can be tied into this one verse. Yeah. And it's 1 Corinthians 10:23. And it says, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. And I feel like I was thinking back, and I'm like, well, this goes with the weed episode. Yeah. This episode. The fun episode. Christians
that's right.
Are fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I found it after the fact.
That's always the case. I'm always finding verses that support what we were talking about after, and I'm just like, if I only had read this, like, I'm like, the thing is, like, we do our homework, we do, but of course it's like after the fact that you find like really good verses, and it's just like, whatever.
I was like, maybe the Lord was just saving this one for right now, for this particular moment that I needed to discover it and feel the weight of it. That's my thought.
Oh man, that's great.
I had I guess we'll just go through. I have a couple other verses. Yeah. 2 Corinthians 6:14, which I think every Christian that's entering the dating pool knows or should be familiar with. Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has the righteous with lawlessness? I'm reading way too fast. Or what fellowship has the light with darkness? And this one's a big one This one can be very commonly misinterpreted, which is why
I think a lot of either misinterpreted or they kind of just like turn a blind eye to it, because I feel like it's a very specific, and straightforward verse.
The person you're with, they have to build you up, they have to encourage you in your walk with Christ. And if they're not, that's the first red flag.
And that's specifically when it comes to like Christian dating.
Yes.
It's not about you.
Right.
It's about the other person. And, in scripture, the greatest commandment is this: love your neighbor as yourself, and then love God.
Yep.
It's all about serving the other person in a relationship, and then also it's first and foremost your relationship with God, their relationship with God, and then how that relationship, those individual, exactly, those individual relationships draw you guys closer together. And that's the thing. If you are the only one having that one relationship with God, yet the other person doesn't, it's almost like it's like you're dragging this person along. Now, that makes it sound very like not brash. That's not the word. It doesn't make it sound pretty, I guess.
Yeah.
Because obviously, we're not saying unchristians are like, there are these, you don't like spend time with them kind of thing. That's obviously not what I'm saying. But when it comes to a marriage, it's going to become hard if you both don't have that foundation, that same foundation. If you don't both go to God first before anything else, if you don't understand at least that aspect of one another. It's very important that the person you are with strives to grow closer with God above all else, and I kind of think of like me and like, not being in a relationship, trying to like, what kind of man do I want? And the man I want is someone who I can turn to and know that they are so strong in their relationship with God that I can just go to them with any kind of question that I have, when it comes to Bible or theology or anything in the spiritual realm, where it's just like that they are so grounded in even if they aren't like, like if they don't know something, that they are so desirous of getting that, of being so close to God. And I that's the kind of person that I want to find myself with, that I can look at them and I can just listen to them talk about the Bible and just, trust that their intentions and their heart is towards God. And if that's where their heart is, I know that I can, almost blindly follow. And I mean, I'm no relationship guru, clearly. I am no, like, don't ask me for relationship advice. I am not the person. But it's just like when I think of being equally yoked with someone, having that understanding that first and foremost, my relationship with God is the most important one. Right. Their relationship with God is the most important one. And in my relationship, I want to, push them to be better and grow closer with God. And I want them to do the same with me, where they're pushing me closer to God as well. And yeah. So that's what I think of, like, when it comes to that verse. And it's just like, even in friendships, being equally yoked is important as well, because we all have to be, pushing each other in the right direction. We're all struggling on the same road here.
Oh, yeah. We all need Jesus. We're all struggling the same.
Oh, man, yeah. Like, we're all struggling here. We all, and that's the thing, is, like, the beauty of understanding one another. Yeah. The beauty of knowing that, like, I'm not alone in struggling. Like, yeah, my sins might be, like, come across different than others, but the thing is, we all have that knowledge of like, yeah, we struggle. And so that's why, you know, coming to one another with those struggles as well is so beneficial, not only for the person who's bringing their struggles, but the person who is there to listen. Because I don't know, maybe this isn't making sense, but like, you don't feel alone.
Right.
And that's something that's so important when it comes to, this is going so off topic.
I have a point to full circle it, so don't you
cool.
worry.
Okay, cool. When it comes to the church body, bringing your struggles, because we all understand, and to not feel alone in our struggle. And I think that that's like something so like beautiful. And even like the church itself is like the perfect picture of what a marriage should look like. You know, we are the bride of Christ, and that's the image, you know, Christ, and is you know, when we said the church is the bride of Christ, and that's what we should be trying to emulate in our relationships. How Christ is with us is how we should be going, and you know, living, like having those yeah
What I was thinking of what you said when you started to touch on loneliness is pulling it back to Tinder. I think that's why a lot of people go on in the first place is you're feeling lonely, and whether you're Christian or not, just know that you're not. You're not lonely. You're not alone, especially as a Christian. Yeah. We have the Holy Spirit. We have Christ with us 24/7, 365 days a year, every minute of every second of every day.
Every second.
And that is the most comforting and heartwarming, and just like when you sit and think about that and meditate on it, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like how insane is that we are never, ever, ever, ever alone, and we are seen, we are heard, we are loved all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And the thing is, it's like we get in our way from feeling that. You know, we're the ones who, you know, like stop ourselves from really grasping that, you know? And so we got to get out of our way. Yeah. Just like
I am trying to pick up somewhere in my notes. I feel like we just touched on all of this.
Sorry, I kind of just went off. I hope what I said made sense.
No, it 100% made sense. Oh, yeah, let's talk about if you're going to be on Tinder. So this is kind of like where my thoughts are here. If you're going to be on Tinder as a Christian, your top priority should not be what I love to call, and probably what we've all called, missionary dating.
Oh, girl, yeah.
So if you're new here, or if you're just a new Christian, what this means is you, as the Christian girly pop, are going out there.
We love a good fixer-upper.
You are a fixer, and you are trying to go out there, and whatever or whoever you end up finding attractive, but unfortunately they're not a Christian, you decide you're gonna want to be a fixer, and you're gonna end up, that's what I was saying. There we go. Unfortunately, you might find someone that you find attractive that is not a Christian, and then your goal is to get them to church. Yeah. And that is like red flag number 1.
Yeah.
Don't do it to yourself, because it's just coming from personal experience. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's an uphill battle that, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, but you're gonna lose it. There's very few instances where it works, and I know of a couple that it worked for the most part, but they've been like on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, and you know, it's nice to see it work out. Yeah. But that shouldn't be your sole purpose.
But the thing is, that goes right back to we're being told not to be unequally yoked. Right. So the thought of even the thought of even getting into a relationship with a non-believer, that already is like,
yeah. You just skipped your first box that you should have checked off.
Exactly. You know, and the thing is, if you think of it, what does it say? Oh, I always say Proverbs or Psalms. I can never, I think it's Psalms,
Okay.
where it's just like, don't walk in the way of the sinner, don't sit in the seat of the
Yeah.
scornful.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you can also kind of apply that with this. You are getting into a relationship. So this is now closer than any other friendship, you know?
Mhm.
This is like really being with this person. And if they don't have the same values, the same morals, they don't follow the same Bible or the same God,
Right.
they're going to also, there's a possibility that they can pull you away.
Mhm.
Where when you're trying to bring them
Paul
to
Mann.
God,
Yeah.
the exact opposite could be happening to you, where you're starting to slowly, you know, allow yourself to fall away.
Yeah.
And you won't realize it because you're still thinking, I'm going to bring them closer to God.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring them closer to God. Yet you're blinding yourself to the fact that they're bringing you further away from God.
Yeah.
Because, like, right off the bat, number one, you didn't listen to this first.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's something that we all have to be careful of, not to see someone for the potential, you know, and that's what we love doing. Girls love seeing, you know, the potential of a relationship, or the potential that this guy could, like, you know, be, or who this guy can be. Right. And it's just like, if that's not shown day one, you can't date someone for what you think might happen.
I think of it as a game of tug of war, and eventually somebody's going to lose. Mm-hmm. It always happens.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of which side ends up letting go or being pulled across the mud.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it could end pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
beware. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to be on this app in search of another Christian, make it blatantly obvious that you are a Christian and that church is an important part of your life, and ask a lot of questions.
Questions are so, I mean, in any kind of dating, you know, it's super important. But, like, even right off the bat, what's your testimony? Mm-hmm. That tells a lot about a person and their walk with Christ in their testimony. And that should be the first thing you should be asking someone. If they profess to be a believer in Christ, they will have a testimony, and in that testimony you will truly see, you know, is this person, you know, really following the way of Christ? Or, you know, that's like number one question for me. What's your testimony? Let's talk about it. Let's get it out of the way. You know? Yeah.
If you're going to be on an app like this, I'm trying to choose my words very wisely here.
I know sometimes I'm just like, how do I say?
Yeah. Make it known not only that you're a Christian, but that, you know, church is a big deal, because anybody can say that they're a Christian, and anybody can say, yeah, like, here's my testimony, this and that. But even like me, I think of myself and I'm like, my old self that still said she was a Christian. Yeah. Is not who I am today.
It's the fruits.
It's the fruits of the Spirit that end up blooming over and over and over again. And that's a whole other, I could talk for hours on that. But even back like 2 years ago, I thought I was showing fruits of the Spirit. And then I look back on my life and I'm like, where were they? Yeah. Maybe like 2. Maybe like the tree was blooming. Maybe
there was a tree.
Maybe there was like some moss on one side of it, but not on the other. Like it was just barely like. And anybody can say that too. Anybody could say, yeah, I'm a Christian. Like I've been going to church all my life. Oh, that's where I heard something similar to this. Emmy Moore from Safe Not Soft. My new hyperfixation of the week. But she was talking about how even like when she was little, she was going to church and she was a Christian, but she didn't know Jesus. Yeah. And anybody can say that they're a Christian, but do they know Jesus?
Yeah. And so that's one thing that, like, before becoming very serious with someone, like, you need to really, you know, see these fruits. Yeah. You know, you need to really ask the questions and see where they are in their relationship with God. Yeah. Because like I said before, if they're not in a good relationship with God, they're not going to be able to lead me, you know? They're not going to be able to be the person that I need for them in the relationship, and I can't be the person that they need in a relationship if they're not, you know?
Right.
And it's just so important that you know, find that out before it's too late.
And now I remember what I wanted to say before. Again, going back to, if you're just going on this app to just go on it and just like make friends, or just to like,
do people really do that?
No, that's more like Bumble BFF actually. That's more of that side of things. But like, if you're just going on this app to like seek attention, and I say that like, I don't mean that, it sounds, I don't know, it just sounds too harsh when I say it like that.
Yeah.
But if you're just going on this app and looking for someone to be with, maybe that's a better way of saying it, do a little self-evaluation and say like, okay, am I just going on because I want to be with somebody? Do I feel lonely? How about reaching out to friends? How about, if you're already plugged in at a church, go outside and go be with that community for a little bit. I had written something, I don't know if I read it from somewhere or if I conjured it up in my brain, but I wrote, you do not want to sacrifice your pursuit of holiness just to meet new people on an app.
Yeah.
And that's
a good point.
That stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
So hard.
Don't let anybody or anything like throw a wrench in you pursuing holiness, you know? And the thing is also, the dating culture now is so messed up. I think that we have to like really go back to, you know, basics. Honestly, I feel like a lot of time people are just dating just to have companionship or just to like get something out of it for themselves. But the thing is, like, being in a marriage, it's not, you know, it's not this selfish desire to want to have someone love you, you know? And like I said, like, I'm no guru on relationships. Really, no. I'm really not. But the thing is, I feel like so often people just they don't want to be lonely. Yeah. And so they think someone's going to come around and this person's going to make me feel less lonely, but it's not really going down to the crux of the matter. You know, and I think, you know, me personally, like, do not date if you're not looking to get into that serious relationship to get married. I think that dating should only be done when someone is ready for that commitment, and when someone is so strong in themselves, and like I said before, their relationship with God, that should even, you know, be like, okay, now I'm ready to kind of, because you can't rely on the other person to give you what you need to already have in Christ, you know? Yeah. And that could quickly become you putting this other person ahead of Christ. And you start, you know, if you aren't, you know, strong in who you are and who you are in Christ, you will start to look to that other person and idolize them. And you won't realize it. And the thing is, they will make mistakes just like you will make mistakes. And if you are putting them in that idolized position, if you're putting them where God needs to be, and they make a mistake or they do something, then it's just like, then there's like a bigger, you know, it's harder for that to be resolved. And I think it's just so important for people to really focus on making sure that their relationship with God is secure enough that then they can find someone who's just as secure in their relationship with God, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I feel like right now, like, yeah, I'm single, but it's just like having that relationship with God and learning who I am in Christ and figuring out that I am okay on my own kind of thing. That's something that I'm very excited to see. It's almost like this strange, like, new me kind of thing where it's just like, okay, like, I understand my goal now isn't to find someone, isn't to find my worth in someone else. You know, I don't need someone to tell me who I am. When I find my person, it's not going to be that. It's going to be us pushing each other closer to Christ.
Right.
And like I said before, like, I just want to be able to, like, talk with him about, like, theology, and, like, talk to him about what he knows, and that I can just, like, lean on him for, you know, the guidance, and for him to lead in that sense. And, like, that's what I'm excited for, you know, and whenever that comes, that'll come. But it's just, like, to be in that kind of relationship where it's just, like, they push me closer to Christ, and then I could do the same thing for them.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah. What you had said made me think of, this is why we need to make scripture cards. Somewhere in the New Testament. We should do a tally of all the times we say this. It's like at least once an episode.
Yeah.
The verse that says, you are not your own, you're bought with a price.
With a price, yep.
And I almost take that verse and I'm like, insert your relationship here. Your relationship's not your own. And it's God first. And it's funny because I'm reading this chapter book right now. And the main character, she is all in it for herself.
Yeah.
She just wants this fling for herself. And I look at her and I look at this story and I'm like, man, she doesn't know Jesus.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what it's like to have a relationship. And that's why I love reading fiction, because it's a messy world, but at the end of the day, it's like we have a non-messy God. And we have a perfect God. And life is messy. And after this podcast, I'll tell you about the book I just got, because I'm really excited about it. I recently discovered Christian fiction, and I'm obsessed.
What?
Yes. Barnes and Noble has a whole section of Christian fiction, and I just bought a thriller.
We have to go.
Yeah, we have to go.
Just leaving.
Plug.
Just leaving with you.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so the book I'm reading right now, it just made me think of that, and how like she's just in this relationship for herself, and she literally said, like, you're just an object, like, in this ploy to get my boss to get me a promotion. But we can't be like that when we're in a relationship with another Christian. Our relationship's not our own.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, that was good.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit said something there, so I don't know.
No, that's great. But it's all about service. You know, even Jesus's entire ministry was how he served the people, and how he's teaching us to serve others as well. You know, we don't need to be told how to love ourselves. Like,
sometimes we need to be reminded, but that's a whole other podcast episode.
I know, right? It's just like, that's the same thing. And when it comes to a relationship, like, we need to be serving the other person. And that's what's so important. So and then, like, going back to the whole Tinder thing, where it's just like, we should take these things with a little bit of more seriousness. We shouldn't be kind of going along with, like, the culture's view of dating. Yeah. Because it isn't just kind of going through as many people to finally find that one, you know? And I think that's where, you know, we should be careful when it comes to these apps, where it's just like, are we, you know, really doing this for the right reason? And I feel like that's something we always say. Like, we always have to, like, examine our heart. Why am I going on this app? Yeah. Like, what am I trying to get out of it? Like, am I trying to actually genuinely find my person? So, yeah, I think that at the end of the day, like you said in the beginning, it's not, I don't know. I would stay away from Tinder.
Yeah, it's not inherently wrong. It's the stigma that's around it, that the culture, dating culture, society as a whole has now put on it, and therefore has everyone calloused to dating these intimate connections.
Yeah.
And then what, subsequently comes after that, what the world says is okay, but in Christianity and what we believe is not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's you have to be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Very careful when it comes to that.
Taking everything, especially on an app like Tinder, with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So I think this is another non-answer.
I'm
like, yes, but.
Yeah, that's the thing where it's just like, sure, there's probably people who have found like relationships that have lasted.
Mm-hmm. One of my friends, not a Christian, actually got married to somebody from Tinder. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing also, where it's just like, that's what I was going to say, specifically for Christians, though.
Yeah.
When it comes to non-Christians, they're equally yoked, in a sense, where it's just like, if a Christian is going into that circle, how likely are they going to find another Christian?
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, there are these other, places they can go to find other Christians. There are Christian dating apps. There are Christian, sites or whatever. How likely is it you're going to find another Christian on an app that the stigma behind it is really about, going through people and just, hooking up and that being what everybody kind of thinks of this app. So it's just like, that's where it's just like, also a thought that just popped in my head, like the view you're putting out of your, for yourself, you're putting out this version of yourself that's people are going to see, other Christians are going to see you. And if you are on Tinder, what does that say about you as well, with that being the stigma? So it's just like, yes, you might not be on it for the wrong reasons. You might genuinely be trying to find a godly man. But we also have to be careful about the image we put out to others as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it kind of, one of the verses that we didn't read, Psalm 37 for my number flipping. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And I think that you should be looking to God first and not immediately going to these dating apps.
Yeah.
Maybe it is God's plan that you find somebody on Upward or Christian Mingle. Maybe that is, but if you're...
They sound... Okay, so talk about stigmas. Let's just pause for 1 second. I feel like people make so much fun of it, where it's just like, you say Upward or Christian Mingle, and people are all just like, kind of thing. But it's just like, on the flip side, you have Tinder, Bumble, and all of these where people are just like, oh, you're just trying to look for a good time, not a long time kind of thing. Yeah. And it's just like, it's just so funny how it's just like, you hear Christian Mingle and people are like, Christian Mingle, it's just, but there are these places you can go as a Christian, you know? I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no. Look to God first. Before you look to a dating app, please.
I mean, the most important relationship you should be focused on
with Christ
is with Christ.
Yeah.
And if that relationship needs work, likely you won't be able to find the proper, I say that lightly. But my prayer is make me the person that, make me better for the person that I'm going to be with. Draw me closer to you, Lord, so that when I meet the person that you have for me, I am in the place where I am who they need, and they are in a place where they are who I need, kind of thing. Build me up in that way.
We need to be wifey material before we're wifey material.
Girl, I can't wait. As I'm saying, I can wait. But so this sounds so, okay, this is really putting myself out there. Oh gosh.
Blast it.
I can't wait to be that wife that gets up before their husband to like make sure the coffee's going and make sure that they have their lunch prepped for them to go to work and to make sure that like they have breakfast before they leave and that like when they get home that I greet them with dinner. Like I want to be that wife, and it sounds so like it sounds cringy saying it, but it's just like I want that so bad. Like I want to do so much for my husband. You know, I am the person I want. Like I want them to be obviously the leader. Yeah. I want them to be going out and working hard for his family. Like I want him to be fulfilling all of these things where it's just like I've got everything else. Like don't you stress. Like I will make sure you are fed. I will make sure like you come home to like dinner on the table. And you know, I want so badly to give that to someone. And it's just like I want them to desire to work hard for me, you know, desire to like, if I were to stay home, like I obviously in this economy, it's probably not gonna happen, but I mean, I really love my job. I wouldn't want to leave it, but it's just like I want for them to be like, I want to work so hard that you don't have to, you know, kind of thing, where it's just like then me on my side of things, it's like I will then deal with everything else. Like don't you worry, I will get up early, and if you know me, you know I do not get up early for anything. But like I want to make you lunch, I want to make sure the coffee is ready for you to run out the door, you know, like I want to do those things. I'm excited for that. So it's just like when the right person comes, he'll be the person that I need and I'll be the person that he needs, you know? Totally putting myself out there. I'm blessed. but like I desire that. Like I really genuinely desire that. Yeah. The more you know, guys.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Right. I don't have anything else to add. I think we touched on everything.
Yeah. So just proceed with caution. Really proceed with caution. Really search your heart to see why you are going to, you know, Tinder. And, you know, there are places, Christian apps you can go to that doesn't have that stigma, you know, behind it.
Or just get plugged into a community. And meet new people.
That's the thing. You got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, you do.
I don't like putting myself out there. You know, I keep seeing these like reels or these memes where it's just like they're praying to God for, you know, the godly man that, you know, God has for them. And then it's just like God's response, like, you're sitting on the couch. And it's just like, okay, true. But like, yeah, there is, you know, you got to put yourself out there. You got to make room to like.
So we'll go out. And I'll do all the talking.
There we go.
I'll get us out there. And I'll be like, okay, fly free.
Fly free. Fly free. And that's where my awkward... I'm such an awkward introvert. It's funny because, like, I talk a lot, guys, here. But if you were to see me outside of this... Not a word. Not a word. I will say hi if someone says hi to me, and it's not me being rude. I swear it. It's not me being rude. It's just I am such an introvert that it's painful to watch sometimes. It's like I have a friend who she obviously just like, you know, these settings, like she knows me as this crazy, like talk. And she's a teacher. She actually... Maria from
I know.
Hey Maria from where we used to go to school. She brought me to her class. Her class was having a party and I was helping set up. It was like a taco party or something, and I was helping her set up for the party, and I was there with her class or whatever. And you know, Maria's talking like she's a very extroverted person, and she turns to me and she's like, Bethany, why don't you tell the class like like XYZ or whatever, and I'm just like, just like, and she kind of looks at me, and later it's like, it's this, we joke about it now, and she's just like, it's so funny, I always forget how introverted you are when you're around other people. She's like, because I know you as, you know, this, I know this Bethany. She's like, but when you're around other people, she's like, I completely forget, because it's just like, I don't know you that way. And it's just like, I know. It's just like, I'm working on it. But yeah, you see me outside, it's just like, nope, I don't. I will be the shadow. Yeah. I will be in the back. It's just like, if you want to talk to me, that's the thing. If you want to talk, I will talk to you. Yeah. You know, I will strike up a conversation if you come up to me, but I won't be the one to initiate. Just like, yeah, because I have such random stuff in my brain.
Oh yeah,
I'll talk about random stuff.
Yeah. I think we all do.
Yeah, but yeah. So my focus is to become the person God has called me to be, so that when I do find the person that God has, you know, has for me, that, you know, we will push each other closer to Christ. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. All right.
The head nods.
Yeah, we were just like,
yeah, vibes.
Well, thanks for being here, guys.
Yes, thanks for watching.
Listening to us just talk on and on about whatever it is.
I think that was like 3 podcast episodes in one.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Lots of good topics.
Yeah. That's so true. But nice. Awesome. So, as always, we will see you guys next time. Woo. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye.